Hi there everybody, my name is Jordan Zamora and I'll be going over increasing cardiovascular exercise for myself throughout my health behavior change journal. Now, the significance of this behavior retains around the concept that regular physical activity is beneficial for cardiovascular health. Frequent exercise is robustly associated with a decrease in cardiovascular mortality as well as the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. An increase in physical activity is associated with a reduction in all-cause mortality and may modestly increase life expectancy, an effect which is strongly linked to a decline in the risk of developing cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. This behavior also provides improvements in muscle function strength and for the body's ability to take in and use oxygen. The recommendation of this behavior to be performed is to have adults engage in modest activity, which is around 60 to 75% intensity level for at least 30 minutes. And this is preferably done 5 to 7 days a week, but at least 3 days is sufficient. The risk for performing this behavior is that there can be a transient increase in the risk of cardiac-related complications, chest discomfort, unusual shortness of breath, and different heart rhythm abnormalities. Although these sound risky, these risks are not as common as you think they are. A baseline description of the behavior. Cardiovascular exercising for me has been quite the struggle during my undergrad studies. I found myself being a full-time student working 2 jobs over the course of 4 years now, and I just didn't have the time or energy to formulate a solid exercise plan. I also picked up the bad habit of smoking, and I know the combination of smoking and low exercise is very detrimental to our health, and over recent years my body has taken note to it. I find my endurance level is pretty low now. My respiratory system, I believe, isn't the greatest anymore, and I've fallen way more out of shape than I'd like. Growing up, I was very sports oriented and well physically active. Just the transition to college really demotivated me since I didn't have to stick to a strict practice schedule and or participate on teams anymore. And then along with the stress from work and school really took a toll on my mental health, and in turn I neglected my physical health because of it. Through this behavior change, I looked to find a way to make a path for myself to find a groove to get myself back into my ideal shape. Some interventions that helped guided me through this behavior change came down to vigorous intensity aerobic activity for 75 minutes every week. Now I noted that most of my workouts took at least an hour, at most an hour and a half, so that squares off. Another intervention that I implemented was planning ahead. I made sure that physical activity became a part of my weekly schedule and it flowed with my work and school routine. And then my last intervention that I implemented was social support in the form of a buddy system. I had a couple of my friends come with me to exercise, and it actually made it very much more fun. So how this health behavior change panned out over the course of 4 weeks went like this. The first week, I initiated a 2-mile run along with a conditioning workout for at least 3 days a week. Week 2, same thing, 2-mile run, conditioning workout, but 4 days a week. Week 3, I noted to at least run 2 miles along with the conditioning workout for 5 days a week. And to finish it off for week 4 was another at least 2-mile run with the conditioning workout for 6 days a week. Firstly, I felt more motivated when having a running partner alongside me. Having the buddy system to complete the workout really made the experience much more enjoyable for me and actually easier in a sense to accomplish. Secondly, I was able to push myself more to make a more time-conscious plan that incorporated the workouts into my school and work routine throughout the weeks. Lastly, the intensity level I was pushing myself to complete the workouts really motivated me to not give up and make sure I was able to still accomplish simple tasks that I was able to do prior in my life. The challenges and the interventions throughout the behavior change seemed much more apparent to me than the successes. I did take some shortcuts when trying to finish the workouts, which entails me cutting out like 10 minutes of the workout to say I actually finished it. Secondly, sometimes I just did not have the energy to meet the standards of my goals for the designated week. Some of the days I was just tired or just really exhausted from the other previous workouts and or school or work. Lastly, work and school made it very challenging to balance incorporating the exercising goals I needed efficiently for the week. Now here's a visual representation of a table of my exercise plan throughout the 4 weeks. First week you can see 3 times at least I completed. Second week I completed my 4 rounds. And then it kind of started to fall off with week 3 and 4. I was only able to complete 4 days out of the 5 to 6 days I was supposed to complete throughout the weeks. Now moving on to theories and models. The first theory I applied to this behavior change was the theory of planned behavior. I felt as if I was in total command of enacting the behavior most of the time throughout the weeks. The locations I chose to exercise helped facilitate the behavior to be actually completed and be sought out thoroughly. Lastly, I believed it would have been easier to perform this behavior since it's been a substantial behavior in my life. I'm very well versed to exercising and it's not nothing new to me. Now, the second theory I applied to this behavior change was the social cognitive theory. The exercise practices I performed are well known to me, and I know I'm physically capable of pushing myself to complete them. I only saw the outcomes of performing this behavior as beneficial to my health and the betterment of my health in the future. And then being placed in a suitable environment to perform this behavior led to the opportunity of me becoming more successful in completing the workouts throughout the week. Now, the last model that was applicable to this health behavior change was the health belief model. I knew that performing the behavior would ultimately help my well being health wise, and that helped me trigger the mindset of getting back into shape, since it is a realistic possibility for me to accomplish. And through that, I was fully confident throughout the weeks to take on this action of behavioral since I knew I was capable of accomplishing it. In conclusion, over an evaluation of a 40 time span trying to increase my cardiovascular exercising, I found it quite difficult to uphold the goals I set for myself throughout that time due to me underestimating myself physically and my capabilities of what I can do with the workouts and exercises that I planned. There was some days out of the weeks listed where I couldn't find the motivation to get up and exercise due to physical exertion of previous workouts and just other responsibilities dealing with school and work. But in the end, it really put into perspective of where I'm at currently into my physical capabilities, and it showed me what I need to work on, and I know I need to put in the work more to get to where I want to be ideally, and I know it's going to be a long grind to reach where I want to be. Some personal recommendations for those trying to undergo this behavior change as well. I firstly like to state to never give up. Now, this can be applicable to the goals you set or even the workout you're trying to finish. I feel that this builds character into knowing that you're able to accomplish something and builds the confidence into tackling on difficulties later in life. Another personal recommendation for this behavior change would be to rest efficiently. Undergoing vigorous physical activity depletes energy in the body and wears down muscle groups used in physical activity. Being able to rest accordingly will allow the body to recuperate the energy lost and allow the muscles to recover for future physical activity. My last piece of advice for this behavior change would be effectively planning your weekly schedule out to where you're incorporating physical activity outside of the times when dealing with other personal responsibilities. And making it a point to incorporate in your day will help build consistency in developing the behavior for the long run. Thank you for viewing this presentation.